What truly heals a broken heart, and what only hurts more. The invisible pain. No one sees. When the heart breaks, it feels like the world slows down. Songs hurt, laughter sounds distant, and time seems to have stopped where the story ended. But on the outside, everything keeps going. No one sees the disaster left inside you. No one understands the depth of the void because a broken heart doesn't show up in blood tests. There's no bandage, but it corrodes. In this video, we'll walk through the ruins of emotional pain with honesty. Because healing a broken heart isn't about following generic advice like, "It'll pass," "Go out with someone," or "Focus on yourself." Healing requires awareness, courage, actions that often feel counterintuitive, but that work. And just as important, we'll talk about what to avoid because there are attitudes that only delay healing or deepen the wound. You'll understand why some pain never seems to heal, why even after months or years, the memory still weighs on your chest, and most importantly, what you can do from now on to transform that wound into strength. It's not about forgetting, it's about reframing. It's not about erasing, it's about releasing. This video is an invitation to acceptance. It won't judge you. It won't force you to get over it. It will walk beside you, because healing begins when pain is heard. And right now, you are not alone. Comment below, "I want to heal," with awareness and truth. That phrase is your first step. And of course, like the video, subscribe to the channel and share it with someone else who is also going through this. Let's go together. The first lie. Time heals everything. How many times have you heard, "It's just a matter of time. It'll pass"? That everything gets better with time? That's comforting at first, but after a while, the pain continues. And then comes the guilt. Why does it still hurt if so much time has passed? The truth is that time alone heals nothing. Time just passes. What heals is what you do with that time. If you hide from the pain, if you try to ignore it, pretend everything's fine, time just pushes the suffering deeper into your chest. It numbs, but it doesn't disappear. And one day, anything can trigger it again. A song, a smell, a name. And there it is, the wound, wide open, as if it had never been touched. Healing requires presence. It requires looking inward and embracing what remains. Crying, yes. Feeling, yes. But also understanding, reflecting, rebuilding. Time can be your ally, but only if well used. Time can be a healer or a hoarder of wounds. So don't expect the days to do the work that is yours. Don't place your healing in the hands of a calendar. Change begins when you decide to stop running, when you realize time isn't medicine, you are. And for that, it's necessary to avoid the next mistake. Running from pain only makes it chase you. It hurts. Of course it does. Loving and losing is a kind of mourning. A part of you is gone, a plan, a promise, a routine. It's natural to want to escape, to distract yourself, to overwork, to go out too much, to look for anything that numbs. But be careful. Anesthesia is not healing. It's only postponement. Every ignored pain becomes a symptom. It will return. In the form of anxiety, insomnia, impulses, repetitions. Running from pain only lets it grow in the dark. And the more you run, the more it chases you. The heart doesn't need distraction. It needs listening, space, real time with the pain. Not to sink into it, but to move through it. Like someone walking through a storm, not building a house in the middle of it. Allowing yourself to feel is the only way forward. It doesn't mean suffering forever. It means living consciously. Because when you truly feel, the pain passes. When you repress it, it stays. And every broken heart needs permission to hurt. But what many people do after pain, is even more dangerous. Trying to forget with someone else. Jumping from one heart to another may feel like relief. The famous cure with a new love. It seems to work at first. You get distracted, feel desired, alive. But deep down, you're still wounded, still fragmented, and sooner or later, that will show. Entering a new relationship without having healed is like putting a damaged plant into a new pot. The root is still hurt, and likely it will contaminate the new soil. You start projecting, demanding, carrying the weight of the past into a present that didn't even have time to grow. Using someone to forget someone else is a double injustice, to you and to the other person. Because no one deserves to be a bridge. No one deserves to be emotional anesthesia. And you deserve to live something real, not a distraction. Healing happens in emptiness, not in replacement. You need to rebuild from the inside before you share your life with someone. You need to return to yourself, to miss yourself, to fall in love with who you are. Only then can a new love be lived in fullness, not as an escape, but as a choice. And that brings us to an essential point. The love that heals most is self-love. As long as you keep searching outside for what can only be found within, you'll continue suffering. You'll keep waiting for messages, searching for signs, clinging to crumbs. But when you turn inward, you begin to heal. Self-love is not shutting out the world. It's reopening to yourself. It's enjoying your own company again. It's treating yourself with kindness, with presence, with truth. And that requires practice. Because many times the pain of external abandonment only reveals the internal abandonment you've already been practicing for a long time. You stopped listening to yourself, caring for yourself, choosing yourself. You put aside your desires, your intuition, your joy. And now, the pain of loss forces you to face that. Life is giving you a chance to come home. And that home is you. When you start nourishing yourself, reconnecting, treating yourself as a priority, the world around you changes. You stop settling for so little, stop accepting absent presences, and start attracting what you truly deserve. Because the heart that loves the most is the one that learned to love itself first. Nostalgia is not the same as wanting to go back. One of the greatest tricks of pain is confusing nostalgia with love. You miss moments, gestures, a good morning, and you think, could we still try again? But be careful. Nostalgia is natural, but wanting to go back just because you miss something can be a trap. You can miss something that once hurt you. Because the brain tends to filter memories, to soften the past, to forget what caused pain. And so, you idealize. You remember only the good parts, but you forget why it ended. Before thinking of going back, ask yourself, do you miss the person or the idea of them, the love or the routine, the affection or what you projected? Wanting to go back just to avoid pain is like running into a fire just because you're cold. Nostalgia needs to be felt, not denied, not idolized, but consciously embraced as part of the healing, as a sign that something was real, but not necessarily something that should continue. Healing a broken heart isn't about going backward. It's about moving forward with more truth, more maturity, and more self-love. When you try to be too strong. Some people, when their heart breaks, put on armor. They pretend they don't feel. They say it doesn't matter, that whatever, that life goes on. On social media, there's a smile. On their face, a mask. But inside, the emptiness only grows. Because ignoring pain isn't strength. It's self-sabotage. Society teaches us that vulnerability is weakness. That showing pain is a sign of emotional fragility. But that's a dangerous lie. Because true strength lies in allowing yourself to be human. In accepting pain without drowning in it. In saying, I'm hurt, but I will take care of myself. That's not weakness, That's maturity. Being too strong is isolating yourself, hardening, denying yourself the care you would give anyone you love. So why don't you treat yourself with that same kindness? Why don't you hold space for your own grief with the same patience you'd offer a friend? A broken heart needs comfort, and that comfort can come from you. It can come from silence, from a long shower, from a song that makes you cry. It can come from writing letters that will never be sent, from telling yourself, "It's okay not to be okay right now, but I'm here for me." You don't need to prove your strength. You need to give yourself love, because those who truly care for themselves truly heal. The danger of blaming yourself for the end. After it all ends, the mind tries to find someone to blame. And when there are no clear answers, you turn inward. You start blaming yourself. Replaying every conversation, every decision, every word, and you think, if I had done things differently. That thought is cruel, because guilt paralyzes, and regret traps you in the past. The truth is that no relationship ends because of just one person. There are dynamics, histories, and absences on both sides. But when you're feeling fragile, it's easy to believe it was all your fault. And then you start shrinking, doubting your worth, believing you're not worthy of love. But look at yourself with kindness. You gave what you could with what you knew at the time. You acted with your heart. Did you make mistakes? Yes, we're human. But that doesn't erase your effort. It doesn't invalidate your love. And most importantly, it doesn't define your future. Carrying guilt only delays your healing. Because while you're punishing yourself, you're not learning. And what you need now isn't punishment. It's compassion. It's looking at yourself with more understanding, with more humanity. It's learning from what was, not staying stuck in it. Because blaming yourself doesn't change the past, but forgiving yourself changes the path ahead. The false cure of constant busyness. How many times have you thrown yourself into work, into studies, into the gym, into countless projects, just to avoid feeling? That's the false cure of productivity. You might feel like you're winning, like you're progressing, but inside, you're still frozen in the same emotional place, because productivity doesn't replace emotional presence. Of course, keeping your mind busy helps. But when that busyness becomes an escape, your heart finds no space to speak. And what isn't heard hurts. It hurts in silence. It hurts at night. It hurts when you pause. It hurts when the right song plays. Busyness gives you the illusion of control, but control is an illusion. Healing happens in the in-between, in the time you dedicate to yourself, in the pauses, in the emptiness, in the moments when you're doing nothing but feeling everything. You don't need to become a machine. You need to give yourself permission to exist with ease, to not be productive all the time, to just be, breathe, exist, feel. And in that space, the heart finds a chance to calmly rearrange its pieces. You don't need to speed up to forget. You need to slow down to remember who you are without that love, and return home. The power of unspoken truth. Sometimes what blocks healing is what was left unsaid. A conversation cut short, an unwritten letter, an apology that never came, a final sentence swallowed, and you keep living with that weight, with that feeling of something unfinished. It holds you back, because pain without voice becomes a knot, and emotional knots don't dissolve on their own. You don't need someone else's response to free yourself. You need to let out what's still inside. Speak to yourself, write, scream into a pillow, cry out loud, say what needed to be said, even if it's just to yourself. Because the heart doesn't need an audience to heal, only permission. Truth sets you free, even if it hurts, even if it changes nothing out there, because it changes everything in here. You begin to understand what you lived, to name what you felt, to close chapters that were left too wide open. Holding pain in doesn't protect, it poisons. Holding back words doesn't save suffering, it adds to it. So speak, write, sing, draw, express, even if no one sees, even if no one understands. Because what needs healing lives in what hasn't been expressed yet. And when the truth comes out, the heart can finally breathe. The new beginning doesn't start with someone else. It starts with you. Healing doesn't have a cinematic ending. There's no victory soundtrack or round of applause. There's silence. There are days of highs and lows. There are emotional setbacks. But there's also a beautiful discovery. The new beginning isn't when you get involved with someone new. It's when you reconnect with yourself. It's when you wake up and notice the pain has lightened, that your laughter has returned, that your eyes shine brighter, that you don't need validation to feel whole. The new beginning happens when you find yourself again, when you start to dream again, to trust, to allow yourself. You are not your broken heart. You are so much more. You are what survived, what learned, what rebuilt itself with more strength, more clarity, more truth. And that no one can take from you. Love will return. Joy will return. But this time, without rushing, without open wounds, without disguised neediness. This time, you will be whole. And for that reason, you will attract something equally whole. You will no longer beg for love. You will share presence. Because those who heal a heart with awareness, love with maturity. The key to healing is within you. If you've made it this far, congratulations. That's already healing. That's already choosing yourself. That's already saying, I deserve to feel good again. And you truly do. You deserve peace. You deserve lightness. You deserve real love. But all of that begins with an act of courage. Stop running from the pain and start listening to what it came to teach you. Now, write this in the comments. I want to heal with awareness and truth. That sentence is a commitment, a reminder, a starting point. And if this video helped you, like it now, share it with someone who's still suffering in silence, and subscribe to the channel, because here we talk about feelings without rushing, without masks, without guilt. Love comes back, but first, you come back to yourself. See you in the next video. Be sweet and strong.